Hi, this is Phoenix, and I'm going to read from my book, Visions, Essays on Mental Illness. I'm going to read part of my essay called Is There Hope for a Person with Mental Illness? I'm really excited to share this excerpt. If you like what you hear, you can find this book and more on my author page at amazon.com/author/Phoenix_rises. I hope that you enjoy what you hear today, and I hope that it gets you to think in interesting ways. So without further ado, here it goes. I've talked about a lot of things in my essays on my experiences with mental illness. I've gone into the socio-political implications, the way in which the constructs surrounding mental illness are often power structures, with power leveled against those who have it. I've talked about many heartbreaking and mind-shattering experiences of mania, psychosis, paranoia, and unstable mood, and I've gone into great detail about what it's like on a day-to-day basis. I've also gone into the internal monologue I have going constantly in my mind, a kind of script, and that hopefully provided insight. But I think there is a crucial question I need to try and answer. That question is the following: is there hope for a person with mental illness? Why did I call this essay collection on mental illness Visions? What does that title mean? When we think of a vision, we think of something that is enlightening, often prophetic. That was the goal of my project, though without the grandiosity, was to provide enlightenment to the difficult subject of mental illness. As I mentioned earlier, my friend inspired me to write this book because he felt essays would be a good form to talk about mental illness and specifically my experiences with it. I don't know if I've succeeded with creating a vision, a glimpse into mental illness, but I do know that I've provided some sort of narrative that will hopefully provide deeper insight. So when I ask myself the question, is there hope for a person like me, I have to immediately think about what I did in this project, in this book. I strive to bring insight into the complexities that is mental illness, and I would say the act of completing this project, this book, is one piece of the puzzle of bringing hope. I have been, though I don't know why, with the exception of it's something I work on, gifted with a great capacity for language and communication and expression. This allows me to communicate not just in this collection of essays, but in my books, my novels, my other essays, as well as my day-to-day life and the communication I need to do on a regular basis. I bring up the capacity for language because it allows me to do a lot of things, as you can imagine, which I've explained partially. And I would have to say that capacity for language gives me hope in so many ways. In all honesty, writing and the intellectual world, books, academia, literature, science, politics, the exchange of ideas, etc., is how I find my hope. This is why writing my essay collection is so crucial, and why writing about it in future instances is even more crucial, whether it's fictionalized or not. The experiences of a mentally ill person, while often feared by the outside, actually provides a rich experience for the person who suffers, one that is rife with emotion and passion. This makes sense because mental illness is all about the internal, all about the rich inner lives that humans have anyway. What this means is that I will always have a rich inner life to communicate, made richer in many ways by my mental illness and what that brings to my life, what that ironically adds. I recently relapsed. It was after a long time of struggle, many of the episodes of which you got to read about. But the relapse was probably, in all honesty, one of the best things that happened to me because it forced the hand of my providers to provide me good care that would bring as much healing as I could possibly receive. You read about many of my manic experiences in this collection. You read about my manic experiences in this collection. I wrote about these experiences in calm, matter-of-fact ways because if I talked about them emotionally, I could have lost my composure. But that goes to show how hard it is to talk about such painful experiences. It can be very difficult, no doubt. Anyway, when I relapsed, my doctor described my experiences with the following analogy. Imagine a frog dropped into boiling water. He'll jump out immediately, right? But then imagine a frog placed in water slowly brought to boil. He won't jump out until the water is boiling. Therefore, a metaphor for what is gradual. In other words, I didn't realize how sick I was. Now that I'm on a better medication regimen, I have to acknowledge how helpful medication can potentially be for the healing process. I can't believe how sick I was for so long. That is a lot of stress my body experienced from the mania and psychosis, and doing that consistently for so long, as of now, I don't have what I was calling my midnight mania anymore, mania at night. There's no telling how that threw off my entire system, mind, and body included. But you understand the reason why I prolonged getting help for so long, of course, because of the stigma, and because I hate the hospital, as I've been maltreated by them in so many ways. Those are legitimate reasons for abstaining from getting help, as you can imagine, and I couldn't subject myself to the pain of hospitalization, why I held off on it for as long as I possibly could. But you read about my experience leading up to the hospitalization, and try telling me that I could have talked my way out of that. The chemistry was just too fucked at that point for that to happen. I think, though, there's something to be said about the stigma, no doubt, if it prevented me from getting care, better care. It is true that we treat people with a mental disability much different from those with most physical illnesses. It's just how it is. We aren't up to date on our politically correct rhetoric. I'm joking. In other words, we aren't nearly as progressive on issues like mental illness as we are on issues like homosexuality, racism, and sexism. We treat people with a mental illness horribly, and it's soul-crushing at the very least. It hurts, and you never fully recover. But I can honestly say I found hope this time around with my hospitalization. I found hope because my meds are good, and I'm seeing a competent therapist. That was a little bit of my essay, and to give you a little bit of context, I wrote that essay about 2 years ago when I had just been hospitalized for mental illness. And looking back on this essay, I feel very happy that I can say that I have made progress and that the quality of my life has improved with expressing my life with living with mental illness, as well as just understanding the things that I can do to basically survive in this very difficult world. I hope that you enjoyed what I read today. This is Phoenix, and thank you.